Central axle of a car had broken, but unbelievably, it had been miraculously repaired by the mechanic and restored to its original state with just 3 bolts. This axle, in particular, belonged to a bus driven by Jack, who needed it quickly to transport passengers to the city. The gears had twisted into 2 parts in a failed maneuver. When Jack brought it to the repair shop, he had hoped for a replacement with a new axle. However, by chance, the required equipment was out of stock for the day. Nevertheless, the skilled mechanic carefully examined the cracks in the equipment and assured him that it could be repaired. The cost was also very reasonable, requiring only 1,000 rupees to weld it back to its original condition. The mechanic pointed to decorative plaques on the walls, explaining that they were gifts from previous customers, serving as proof of the durability and reliability of their repair work. First, the mechanic observed that half of the gear assembly was broken, and he noticed the loose fit due to deformation and fragmented pieces resulting from the fracture. In a decisive action, he opted to use a grinding machine to flatten the uneven parts, preserving the overall shape of the device. After this bold and effective maneuver, he proceeded to the next operation. In a specialized technique, he temporarily fixed the connection point of the 2 broken halves of the gear by spot welding for convenience in the subsequent steps. Once fixed, he marked 3 drilling holes using a homemade tool to ensure precise positioning, facilitating the hole drilling process for the pins. Due to the complex elongated shape, he temporarily secured the gear using a clamp, and with a steady hand, he swiftly completed the process of drilling 3 holes. Following this, he performed a slight expansion of the holes to create a chamfer at the edges, marking halfway through the repair process. Due to the absence of suitable pins, the mechanic measured the data and utilized an old screw from the lathe machine to fabricate the necessary components. Every leftover piece in the repair shop found its value through this resourcefulness. The dedication of the mechanic ensured that these 3 improvised pins fit perfectly into the holes. Due to the unavailability of ready-made pins that fit the requirements, the mechanic measured the data and used an old screw from the lathe machine to craft the necessary components. Every leftover piece in the repair shop found its value through this resourcefulness. The meticulous dedication of the mechanic ensured that these 3 improvised pins fit perfectly into the holes. The pins were then driven into the holes, securing the connection of the 2 broken halves of the gear. After the temporary welding was removed, the mechanic expanded the gap at the connection point to increase the welding area for the next step. Upon completing the grinding process, the half gear was secured on the lathe machine for welding. Starting from one of the gaps, he carried out the complete welding process, including the position of the pins. With all welding stages completed, the half gear was successfully repaired. The final step involved turning the repaired part on the lathe machine to eliminate any uneven surfaces. Following this machining process, the half gear was restored to its original state, functioning fully.